Recording. Perfect. So hello and welcome to the Terp Family Fundamentals webinar series. My name is Danielle Walker and I'm the program coordinator in the Office of Parent and Family Affairs here at the University of Maryland. For those that are new, this webinar is intended to help you become informed partners on campus resources so that you can best support your Terps. Today we are joined by Erica Ely, Assistant Director at the University Career Center and the President's Promise. We will do our best to answer all of the questions you submitted during your registration for this webinar. If you find that you have additional questions, please feel free to submit those via the Q&A feature. To access the Q&A feature, find the two conversation bubbles towards the bottom of your screen. You should also see where it says Q&A. If you don't see that, you may need to click on the three dots to expand the toolbar. To help us answer questions that the majority of you have, I ask that you use the upvote option instead of typing the same question. Just click the thumbs up icon. This will be what we call an upvote, and we'll be prioritizing the questions with the most upvotes. Be sure to also look at the answer tab as well for questions that have already been responded to. And as I mentioned, we will do our best to respond to as many questions as we can before the webinar ends. And then lastly, this webinar is being recorded, and so it will be available on our YouTube channel shortly, either later today or early next week. So with that, I will hand off the presentation. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you. So hi, and thank you for having me, Danielle. I really appreciate having this time, especially with parents and families, just to give a little insight into how University of Maryland supports students in their career development journey. We'll have mostly a focus on internship searching, but with that, it will also talk about how do we help students interact with not just employers, but also with alumni and friends to campus, to talk a little bit about what it is that they do professionally and starting to understand about what's out there career-wise. So my name is Erica Ely. I serve as the Assistant Director for Career Education and Exposure. The short way of talking about that is we have some career courses that I oversee that I'm going to talk about a little bit more. We're really intentional within our office to try to get students connected, the career exposure piece, to learn about what's out there professionally. And I also oversee career advising. So within the University Career Center and the President's Promise, we serve students of all academic levels, from first-year students all the way to postdocs, and also all majors. There are some offices and departments on campus that serve specific students, specific majors, for their career development needs that I'll talk about a little bit more later on. So the goals for today, what I wanted to highlight with you all is just to showcase, first of all, some of our hiring outcomes for recent UMD graduates, and also how many students are having internship experiences while they're at the University of Maryland. We're going to do a deep dive into some on-campus resources that are available for students. And this is where I hope that you throw in the Q&A. If there's certain resources that you're looking for that perhaps I'm not mentioning, throw it in there. And I also want to highlight some upcoming events and programs that will help your students get exposed to career options, to not only speak to employers about internship opportunities, but just to kind of learn what's out there for them professionally. So first, we're going to do a quick poll. And what I would love for you to do is take a guess as to what is the percentage of August 2019, December 2019, and May 2020 graduates that participated in an internship experience while at the University of Maryland. So while you're throwing that in there, this data is coming from our 2020 graduation survey. So essentially, our August 2019, December 2019, and May 2020 graduates, what we do is we send them a survey, say, okay, now that you graduated, where are you working? What's your job title? Are you in grad school? Right? And then we also ask them about their internships and whether or not they had internship experiences. And so I'll give you just a few more minutes here. All right, so I'm seeing 42%, 40%-ish are saying between 55% or 82%. Good, so those are the two popular numbers. So I'm going to end the poll. And what I will show you now is that it's actually 82%. And here's the thing to keep in mind too, especially with the University of Maryland, is that not a lot of programs require internships in order to graduate. There are some programs, some academic majors, but only a small handful. And so a lot of our students are engaging in these experiences because they are getting the message that internships are really, really valuable, not just to learn what's out there, but also to get connected to employers and hopefully transition into a full-time position after the experience. So while we're on the topic, I mentioned our graduation survey. I thought it'd be important just to show you a little snapshot. Here you'll see that our placement rate is 91%. And placement means employed full-time, part-time, continuing education. So going into graduate school, starting a business, serving in the military. All right. So here is just a quick little demonstration of where students are going. I also have a document that, Danielle, I might need you to jump in on this one because I'm realizing I have the actual graduation survey report as a link, but I'm not quite sure of the best way to share that. So if you want to pipe in and mention.
Yeah, we can share that after the webinar. I will send out a survey actually to gain some feedback. And so I can, if you provide me the link, I can get the link in that email that we send out.
Perfect. So I will make sure that everyone receives that link to the graduation survey, because what it does then is it divides it up according to college of the students and exactly which employers are they most working with, again, job titles, some more information about internships that's more college specific. That's usually helpful for folks to know. So just to get us started, some tips that we recommend for students just getting started with the internship search process. So this could be first year students, it could be second year students, it might be, early stage seniors that maybe are getting a little bit of a later start. Something that's important is knowing the difference between an internship and a part-time job, right? So a lot of employers can go out there and say that this experience is an internship for a student, but we all know that can be a buzzword. So what we want to encourage students is to really be their own best advocates and making sure that this experience is something that they're truly going to learn from, right? Like the goal is not necessarily just to get that internship. It's more about what am I going to learn? What are the skills that I will be developing that relates back to what my future career I hope to be, all right? There are some really good, significant part-time jobs, either on campus or off campus, that can still give students that really good, valuable experience that can be related to their career field. So it's not necessarily just about getting that internship. It's more about what are they learning? What are the skills that they will be developing that they will be able to use then in their future opportunities. As far as internships go, it is not too early for first year students. We highly recommend that they engage with us right in their first year, but also just engaging in career development as a whole. But they also should be kind of managing their expectations. The first year might not be where they get their dream internship, right? Especially if they don't have specific connections to that organization. That doesn't mean they can't try. They should still put themselves out there and try to meet with employers at our career fairs that are representing the companies or the organizations that they're most interested in. But to also perhaps apply to some opportunities with some organizations that maybe aren't as well known, just again, to start getting their skills developed there, starting to get some experience that can still be valuable. Internship searching might begin in the fall semester for summer experiences. So this really depends on the field or the industry your student is thinking about pursuing. And that's something that we can help talk them through. It doesn't hurt to get started in the fall semester because we don't want them to miss the opportunities, right? But if something doesn't get firmed up in the fall, they still have that spring semester to try to look for some additional opportunities if it didn't work out. Prepare that resume. They can work with us. I will talk in just a little bit about ways that we help students get their resume together, but making sure that they're communicating not just their relevant experiences, but also their transferable skill sets. So especially for our first year students or second year students, they might want to go towards computer science and maybe they have been a server, a waiter, or a waitress. Should they have that experience on their resume? Absolutely. Again, these are, if they're traditional age students, they're 18 years old, 19 years old, right? So any work experience is going to be valuable. Do we necessarily lead with that server or waiter or waitress experience on our resume? No, not necessarily. We might focus more on independent projects that they did within computer science. We might talk a little bit about some class projects that they're working on. That program in particular is extremely experiential. And so that's something that our office would work with the students on is, let's incorporate all these experiences, but also let's think about what are the most relevant, even if you didn't get paid for it. Maybe it was something that you chose to do on your own time. Maybe it was something that you had to do in order to pass a class, right? But it's still relevant, and let's think about how we want to describe it. And get creative and also developing relevant skills and experiences. So I don't want to belabor on this, but the university has a lot of resources that students can tap into. One that that comes to mind is something called LinkedIn Learning. So many of us have heard of LinkedIn, but they also have another arm to that program, or excuse me, to that software where LinkedIn Learning, it has a bunch of different instructional videos about pretty much anything you could possibly imagine, whether it's career related stuff of interviewing or how to use certain software products or how to code, right? So if your student is looking at an internship job posting, like, I didn't get to that in classes yet, you know, those classes don't start until sophomore year or junior year. They have free access to LinkedIn Learning from the university, where they can start to teach themselves a little bit and talk about that on their resume too. Okay, so what does the University Career Center do to help Terps find an internship? First, I want to explain a little bit career services on campus. As you all know, University of Maryland is large. The University Career Center and the President's Promise isn't the only resource that the students have on campus, which is good, right? But sometimes it can get a little confusing. As a reminder, our office does work with all academic levels, all majors. And in particular, we do have staff that are embedded in certain colleges that really focus on the career development of the students in those colleges. On the other side, we have business and engineering students have access to their own separate career centers through their colleges. However, a lot of those students will still engage with us, whether it's through our career fairs or we have career courses that business and engineering students will be enrolled in. We have careers for Terps, where there's a lot of different online platforms in there that I'm going to show you in just a second. So even though those students, business and engineering, have their own career centers, they're still working with us in certain capacities. So I briefly mentioned careers for Terps. This is our website. This is just the homepage of our website. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but you'll see here that we divide up our work according to choosing your major. So learning about choosing your career. So learning about some different industries out there, gaining experience. So how to try to find an internship, how to find a part-time job if you're just looking for some extra cash. Launch your career. That has information about resumes and cover letters and interviewing and networking, and then further your education for students that are thinking about graduate school. So sometimes a good place to even just get started for your student is just to check out our website and see what some of the guidance and feedback and information that's listed in there. But you'll see circled up here, we have careers for Terps. Careers for Terps is our online job and internship posting database, where employers will log on there themselves and they post part-time jobs, full-time jobs, and internships, knowing that only University of Maryland students have access to it. So I just wanted, oh no, don't log me out. Okay, so I just wanted to take a quick moment for you to see what Careers for Terps looks like. So aside from just the job and internship postings within the system, there's a few things. Here, it's alerting me that NIH has posted a job because I'm able to follow NIH. So if I was a student that was interested in working for NIH, I would go under this employers tab, search for NIH, star them as a favorite, and now the system is going to alert me when they post a job, when they're coming to one of our career fairs, or any other relevant activity within here. Okay. In here, so we do have a fall career and internship fair that's coming up. It is actually next Thursday and Friday. So there's some information on here about that. And just really briefly, we have a bunch of activities that are happening to help students get prepared for that fair. So here's a resume basics module that we have for students to see different samples of resumes, just some guidance on best practices with resumes. We have a bunch of workshops to help students get prepared for the career fair. We have employers that are doing virtual federal resume reviews, general resume reviews, or also technical resume reviews. And then there's also ways for them to work with our office, in particular, the staff in our office. Okay. So lots of opportunities out there, not just for the career fair, but all throughout the semester to engage and get some help with this process. Some other quick things that I wanted to mention under online resources, we have a couple of things that we pay for students to have free access to. So two in particular that I wanted to mention is Focus 2. Focus 2 is for students that aren't quite sure what they're wanting to do career-wise. Maybe they have some interests in certain careers, but they're not sure how that translates over into major. So in here, there's a bunch of different self-assessments that they can do. It will combine the assessments and it will provide some sample job titles or some areas for the student to look into. You can just search for any occupation if you want to. So I'm just going to take a moment here and click accountant, and it'll walk me through some different accounting options. There is also what will I do if I major in, explore occupations by job family. You can explore two side by side. So lots of good stuff that you can do in here. Okay, so that's Focus 2. That's mostly for students that aren't quite sure what's kind of out there career-wise for them. My other second favorite is going to be the Vault. Now this one is has more very industry-specific information. So under here in career advice, you'll see Explore Careers, Day in the Life, Networking 101, Researching Industries. So what it does is it gives some very industry specific information and just helps students understand what could potentially be out there for them. My other favorite part is the Vault guides in here. So they go into very specific industry specific information. These are kind of their most popular guides. But then if you click on other industries here, it starts to narrow it down just a little bit more specifically. All right, so maybe your student is thinking about econ, but they're not quite sure what that means potentially. All right, so it must have logged me out of the system because this would be free for the students, but you'll see like if they came onto this website on their own, it would have them pay for it. But here are some of the different econ jobs that they're going to go into more details about. And again, students would have access to this for free. Okay, so let's just keep on going a little bit. Under jobs and internships, this is where the students will search for those opportunities. At any given time, there's usually about 1,000 to 2,000 postings in here. So right now you'll see there's 2,000 postings, over 2,000. Students can search based off of specific keywords. They can search based off of specifically internship experiences here, okay? And just as a reminder, this is bringing up internships where the employer specifically said or specifically was interested in connecting with University of Maryland students. They know that only University of Maryland students have access to this system. All right, Careers for Terps is also where students can schedule career advising appointments. All right, so lots to be able to do within this particular system. Let's go back into presenting mode. Let me just check on how to go about finding relevant internship for student interested in medicine. Yes, I will talk about that in just a moment. The career and internship fair is scheduled for the 23rd and 24th, just for engineering, STEM, and STEM all industries. So the Smith School of Business has their own career fair. Off the top of my head, I don't remember when it is. It's soon. It might be today, actually. Do parents have access to these resources? So as far as careers for Terps go, University of Maryland students and alumni have access for the rest of their lives. Our parents can absolutely be connecting with our website. All of our resources that are on there, they have access to. Okay, let's keep going for now. Oops, excuse me. All right, so if you go to internships.umd.edu, this is going to give you some more specific information about internship searching specifically for your student. So it's how to find an internship, just some tips and ways to get started for your student, how to receive academic credit for an internship on campus, how to financially support the internship. We do have an unpaid internship scholarship for students that are pursuing government or nonprofit internships in the summer. And then also advice on how to succeed in your internship, how to make good first impression, how to show appreciation after the experience, so on and so forth. Okay, so I mentioned really quickly about our career fairs. We do have one coming up next week. It is a virtual career and internship fair for the students. Day one is mostly focused on engineering and STEM, and then day two is going to be STEM and all majors. While we're here, since that question was brought up too, these are some other career fairs that will be happening. So yeah, so the Smith School of Business Undergraduate Career Fair is happening today from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. and that's open only to Smith undergrad students. There will be a computer science career and internship fair that is happening not this coming Monday, but the following Monday. There's a language career and internship fair for students that have some sort of language ability and want to use that in an internship or job, or maybe they want to work abroad. And then there's also a School of Public Health Expo. And so even though that has the language of School of Public Health, it will be open to all majors. You don't have to be a School of Public Health student in order to be a part of that, that career fair. Okay. Really quickly, I just want to talk a little bit about, I call them endless programs to learn and connect because sometimes it feels that way, but there's lots of opportunities for students to be engaging. So we have a how-to workshop series for students to learn about how to build their network and how to search for internships and jobs and how to prepare for interviews. We have what are our career exposure programs, like our careers in panels that are based off of certain industries where we'll have panelists that will talk about that work and how they got connected to it and what kind of advice do they have for current students that are thinking about pursuing it. If they have any internship opportunities, we'll talk about that too. Career chats are a little bit smaller and usually a little more boutique, usually just one alum or a friend to campus that's working in kind of like a niche area to talk about how they got connected in that field. We have a bunch of industry specific stuff. So you'll see like how to search for an internship or job in the federal government. We'll have how to search for an internship or job in data science coming up. So all of these events, and this is just like a quick snapshot. This is like something that would happen in 1 week for us. All of our events and programs are going to be on our events calendar. And so we try to encourage students to be checking out almost like on a weekly basis, what's coming up that they might want to engage in. This also includes, we'll have employer information sessions coming up as well, where employers want to engage with students about their internships and jobs. One way that we've really particularly connected with parents and families in particular is our Intern for a Day program. Last year, it was converted to virtual informational interviews. This semester, it's back to in-person job shadowing experiences. Any given semester, usually we have about 300 to 400 students going through this program, but essentially it's a 1 day or a half day job shadowing experience for students. More information can be found on this link of go.umd.edu/IFAD in lowercase. And what it does, students do have to go through an orientation in order to participate or in order to apply. That orientation talks them through how to prepare for the job shadowing experience, what kinds of questions should they consider asking on site, how to show appreciation after the experience. And we require that not just so that they feel prepared for the individual Intern for a Day experience, but also so that they feel prepared for upcoming interviews that they might have on site with an employer, right? Just to start to learn some of those professional practices that they can take with them for other experiences outside of the program. Another thing, I feel like I'm kind of just like throwing all this stuff out, but there's lots that are happening through our office. We also have high enrollment online career courses, and they're 1-credit career courses. Sometimes students, in order for them to engage in career development, getting credit for it can be a little bit more impactful and helpful for them. So we have 2 in particular, Psych 123 and EDCP 108I. EDCP 108I is a course that is about the step-by-step process of trying to find an internship. And so we'll have students do a little self-reflection about what they're interested in. We kind of force them to apply to some internships through the course. They have to get their resume reviewed. They have group meetings with their instructor. They have to go through a live mock interview with an employer, right? And they get credit. They get points for these assignments. And so these are a good option for students if that's what will be motivating to them to be engaged in these processes. And on the bottom, it might be a little hard to see, but I have a little bit about our pre-course and post-course learning outcomes. So one in particular is that I could describe many of the career development services and resources that UMD provides me. And before the course, it was 11%. And then afterwards, it was 85. But there's a lot of like 95%, 97% that they're learning about what's out there for them and engaging. And then finally, I also want to mention our self-paced online modules that we have. These are all available on our website. The 2 in particular that I want to mention, because I'm making assumptions that a lot of the parents and families on this call are probably for undergraduate students. But our resume basics module that I mentioned earlier, in there it has sample resume templates that students can download and just plug in their information. There's resume samples that they can just look and see what's possible and how they can kind of describe some of their experiences. There's also an informational interviewing module. In there, it talks about how to connect and reach out to professionals that are working in a field that you're thinking about pursuing. And so I'll go back to that other side in just a second. While we're on the topic, the University of Maryland Alumni Association has a resource called Terrapins Connect. And what that is, it's a database of Maryland alums and also friends to campus that put their contact information in there and they say, yeah, I want Maryland students to reach out to me and ask me about my job and my work. And so I actually do have that pulled up really quickly. This is the network. On here, there's about 6,400 folks, right? And so you can see right now, I'll say who's online. You can choose to chat with them right then and there if you want to. I don't always totally recommend that. But you can also see who are some people that majored in the area that you majored in. You can obviously narrow it down based off of industries and other filters here. So anything from accounting to urban planning, right? So if you had a student interested in urban planning, we'll walk me through who are the folks that say that that's the field or their industry that they want, that they're in right now. And so what you can do is you can click on a person. I don't see the student side because I'm in here as an admin, but essentially what you can choose to do is either message the person or you can schedule a time right then and there for the student to be able to talk to them one-on-one, either in person or virtually about their field. So it's a pretty cool resource. And then aside from Terrapins Connect, so it's going to be a smaller database compared to LinkedIn, for example, but it is specifically, Maryland alums and also friends at campus that really want the students to reach out to them about their work. Okay. Yeah, and so here I'll say what their help topic is and also their industries. All right. And then really quickly, I want to show LinkedIn, because there's a little something in LinkedIn that not everybody is aware of that we try to showcase to students. And so in here, you can search University of Maryland, the school page. And what it has here is if you click on the alumni, it will start to show where are alums working, okay? Where are they living? What are they doing? What did they study, right? So maybe your student is in a major that they're not quite sure what they can do with. Let's just use psychology as an example. It starts to narrow down what are psychology majors, where are they working? Okay, where are they geographically? So maybe if your student wants to be in New York, as an example, and then some profiles will start to come up here. Okay. So what's cool then is to bring it back to that informational interviewing module that I was mentioning earlier. In the informational interviewing module, it will give students some sample ways to reach out to ask for an informational interview, whether it's through email, whether it's through LinkedIn, right? There's so many different sample ways to do it. So we help walk them through how to find the people, but then how to ask for some assistance, how to ask for some time, 30 minutes of their time, 20 minutes of their time to talk a little bit more about their field. Okay. Danielle, is there anything in the Q&A that I should be addressing now?
Can you hear me right now?
I can.
Okay. So as I anticipated, my screen has frozen. So I can't see if I'm unmuted or not, but I can also not see the Q&A.
Okay.
It shows that there's 3 questions, but I can't see what they are right now.
That's totally cool. All right, so I got it. I have it. So I'm already overwhelmed by the amount of resources available. Yeah, I totally hear that. What is the best way for a student to navigate through all of this without also becoming overwhelmed? So probably their next best step is to schedule that one-on-one career advising appointment. So then that way the student can talk a little bit about what are they thinking about career-wise. And if they're not sure, that's fine too. That's a part of the conversation, right? And what can happen is the student can get like really more specific targeted resources, right? Because right now what's tough is like, I'm trying to appeal to all majors, all academic levels, right? And so it is a lot of information. But just knowing that because there's so much out there, there's a lot of great stuff for your students to be connecting to. So my guidance and advice would be if the student feels overwhelmed, not sure what to do next, to schedule that one-on-one career advising appointment. So if it's with our office, it's in Careers for Terps, which is that database that I was poking you through a little earlier. Okay. So I wanted to have this slide up just because some of the colleges, a lot of the colleges also have career related content on their websites that are specific to their majors. And so it's really good for the students that kind of go onto those websites and see where students in their major have, where they've interned in the past, right? Just to get some ideas of some places that have hired University of Maryland students in their major in the past. One college that I think does it really well in particular is our College of Behavioral and Social Sciences. There is a new center called the Feller Center, which is the Feller Center for Academic and Career Planning. So it's a combination of academic advising and also career planning, where in there they break it down according to criminal justice students and psychology students and sociology students. Where are those students going and what are they doing? And what are some industries that they have a tendency to be interested in and how to get connected to those. Keep going. So I already mentioned these. And then you know, it's kind of launching into what we talked about earlier, meeting with us. So we do have the career advising appointments. Students can schedule through Careers for Terps just to get that individualized attention and also feedback. In our office, we have quick career assistance with our peer career educators. This happens every day, Monday through Friday, where students can come in, they can schedule a time to just get their resume reviewed or have somebody look at their cover letter. Get some like first steps as far as job searching and internship searching. And we also offer virtual resume reviews as well. So I did promise really quickly now, since we're really talking about a lot of resources. I know that there was somebody that mentioned their student being interested in medical school. This is the Reed York Health Professions Advising Office. So if you just go to prehealth.umd.edu, which is great with them. So if your student is thinking about medical school or any other health, it might be also physical therapy or whatever, you'll see in here, there's a bunch of different ways that they help students get connected. But what this is, it's more about guidance as far as applying to medical school. They'll do mock interviews with your students. Yeah, you'll see here what their main topics are. But this is an office that students should be engaging with if they're thinking about either medical school or something else that's related for next steps as far as graduate education. And here you'll also see gaining experience. So they'll have more information about how to get connected to clinical opportunities. In Careers for Terps, there's a clinical shadowing option that they can search for doctors and nurses that are open to having students shadow them for the day. We also oftentimes have doctors in our Intern for a Day program as well for students to be able to shadow. Okay. And then if anybody has a student that's interested in research in particular, there's the Maryland Center for Undergraduate Research that your student can schedule a time to talk to them. But also in here, there's a database for students to search for right within here, where they can search for undergraduate research needs by faculty based off of certain keywords or also based off of their college or their department. So in that way, they can engage with faculty in that way if they're interested in research. Checking the time real quick. So we're ready for our next poll. Danielle, if you're ready for that. Okay, so which UMD resources will you be sure to share with your Terp? And you are able to list multiple things. So go ahead and choose.
Are you able to see the poll right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I clicked on it. I'm not seeing anything on my end, so I'm glad it's working.
Oh my goodness. Virtual world. So Lori, I am seeing, are you permitted to share this deck or can it be found on the UMD website somewhere? I can share these slides with Danielle, if that's okay with you, Danielle, to share out for with your survey.
Yes, and I am recording this. So hopefully if it is still recording like it should, I will be sharing a recording of this on our YouTube channel as well. And that information will be shared in the email that I send either later today or early next week.
I love it. I love it. All right. So it looks like you all are going to be sharing lots of resources, especially our career and internship fairs and also Careers for Terps. I do want to mention really quickly, there's a couple of other databases. So there is Careers for Terps, all fields, all majors, all majors. There's also Hire Smith. Hire Smith is specifically for business students. And then there's also Careers for Engineers for engineering students. Careers for Terps and Careers for Engineers, they're pretty much the same system, but there's some things in Careers for Engineers that are only for engineering students in particular. Great. And so final recommendations before I let you all go. Really encouraging your students to start looking and meeting with us or other career services offices early, or just taking some time to look at some of the resources on our website, poke around Careers for Terps, schedule that one-on-one career advising appointment. All of it just feels so overwhelming. Encouraging your students to explore a variety of avenues to search for an internship. So hopefully the message I got across today is that there are a ton of ways for your students to be connecting to these opportunities, but we unfortunately will not, maybe it's not unfortunate, but we won't go knocking on their residence hall room door, right, to make sure that they do it. It's something that they have to choose to engage in. And so we would love for you to help with encouraging that. Encouraging your student to get feedback on their resume and their cover letter. There's sometimes nothing a little sadder than if a student says, I've applied to, it feels like 50 to 100 internships and I'm not hearing from anyone. And then you start to see some of their materials and you're like, okay, I think I have a sense as to why you might not be hearing back. So encourage them to get that looked over right from the start, to get those materials tailored and targeted specifically to the internships that they're interested in applying to, and we can help them with that process. Practice talking out loud about previous experiences, so that's going to help them with their interviewing. They can work with us to practice their interviewing, both virtually and also in person, but it also helps for them to talk about those experiences out loud with you all too. And then reminding your student, keep on going. Sometimes the process can take some time, a little longer than we anticipate. And it can be draining as well. They're going to feel some rejection most likely. They can work with us on that, but also hopefully you all can be a source of support for them too. And then celebrating their success when they do land something. And especially even if it's not something that was maybe their top choice, but it's still good to be getting those experiences prior to graduation. So I do want to share my contact information. Feel free to reach out if you have any follow-up questions. If there's specific questions that you were hoping to get addressed today that maybe I didn't cover, because I was trying to keep it more, an umbrella presentation for all majors. But I can help with maybe parceling out some specific questions that you all might have. But other than that, I think we might be good. I think I answered most of the questions that came through.
Great. I will download a report to be able to see all the questions. And so if I see anything that came through the Q&A that I wasn't able to see or that we should share more information about, I will definitely make mention of that and reach out. Okay. So I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us today. Contact information for Erica, as she mentioned, is on this last slide. So if you have any remaining questions, please feel free to reach out to her. Or also on the bottom right, you'll see my office's contact information and our phone number. So you're also able to reach out to us as well. As I bring this webinar to a close, I do want to remind everyone again that a recording of this webinar was initiated. Hopefully it's gone through successfully, and I'll be able to post that on our YouTube channel. If not, I will work with Erica to get the slide decks in like PDF form so that we can share all of this information with you all. I will be sending an email out either later today or tomorrow, or later today or next week, with the recording or the PDF and a survey as well to let us know how we did. Please let us know how we can improve, or if there's other topics that you want to learn about. I enjoy connecting with our campus partners and providing these opportunities for you all. So let us know if there's other things you're wanting to learn about. I welcome your thoughts, and thank you all again for joining us today. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend. Thank you, everyone.